Hi ladies, for our CGI lesson today, we are going to be looking at some dollar amounts and figuring out the total cost of 3 books that are going to be bought online. So I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. Follow along as I'm reading. And as I'm reading, make sure that you are paying attention to what those quantities are and how we are going to be using them. So I am ordering 3 books online. The first book costs $21.95. The second book costs $4.95. And the third book costs $5.95. Postage and handling costs $3.50 no matter how many books I order. Since I don't have to pay sales tax, how much will my total cost be? So I'm ordering 3 books online. The first book costs $21.95. The second book costs $4.95. And the third book costs $5.95. Postage and handling costs $3.50 no matter how many books I order. And since I don't have to pay sales tax, how much will my total cost be? So this word problem is a little bit wordy. It has a lot of extra details and information that we may or may not understand or even possibly need. So let's take a look at those quantities. All right, let me get my colors here. So the first book costs $21.95. So that is our first book. Okay, so then we have our second book, and our second book is going to cost us $4.95. And then our third book is going to cost us $5.95. So then it talks about postage and handling. So basically what that means is the cost to ship those books, no matter how many books we order. So it's not that each book costs $3.50. We have to pay a total of $3.50 no matter how many books we're ordering. So that postage and handling is a single cost of $3.50. So that no matter how many books I order is telling me that I can order 50 books if I want, but it's only going to cost me $3.50 to ship them. And then down here it says, since I don't have to pay sales tax. So I know that that question comes up every once in a while about, do I have to factor in tax? So no, on this question we do not, because it's saying, since I don't have to pay sales tax, how much will my total cost be? So we're going to focus more on just how much will my total cost be. Okay, so this part right here, the since I don't have to pay sales tax is kind of irrelevant. We don't really need that part. We just want to focus kind of on how much my total cost is going to be. So looking at this question, we have 3 different books that we're purchasing, and then we have the shipping cost as well. And our question's asking, how much will my total cost be? So I want you to think about in class when we do our thumbs up or thumbs down, so greater than or less than. So I want you to think about the question, how much will my total cost be? So it's saying total, and I really want you to think, what does total mean? What am I searching for? Okay, am I searching for my whole or am I searching for a part? So think about, is my total cost going to be more than $21.95, that largest quantity, or is it going to be less than $21.95? Thinking about how much will my total cost be, how can we use these values in order to figure that out? So at this point, I want you to go ahead and pause your video. You're going to be solving this problem on your own. And then when you finish, go ahead and unpause and we will talk about this problem together. So go ahead and pause and then join me when you are finished. All right, so at this point, you should have already solved this problem. Up on the chart paper, I have our quantities listed out and what they represent. So we have our $21.95, which is the cost of the first book. We have our $4.95, which is the cost of our second book. And then $5.95, which is the cost of the third book. And then we also have that $3.50, which is the cost of our postage and shipping. So I wrote out a different question. So my question that I was asking myself was, how much money did we spend? Okay, and that is kind of similar to what is our total amount that we're trying to solve for. This part that says how much is telling me that I want to figure out kind of all together what I spent. Okay, so thinking about our operations that we have our 4 operations, and I want you to think, we have books that cost money, and we have postage that costs money, so our unit is money, okay? So when we're thinking about our unit is the same. We have the same unit for all 4 of our quantities. So if our unit is the same, we know that we can do either addition or subtraction. We want to ask ourselves, do we want our quantity to get bigger or do we want it to get smaller? Are we working with numbers that we're trying to decrease, or are we trying to put it all together to figure out a larger quantity and what that means, and what our total is? So we're kind of asking ourselves, first of all, we want our answer to get bigger, okay? So automatically, I know I can eliminate subtraction and division, because those 2 operations cause our answer to get smaller. So now, going back to our unit, we have the same unit for every single one of our quantities that we have. So if our unit is the same, we can take those 4 numbers and we can add them together. So in order to figure out how much total money we spent, we're going to take all 4 of these quantities and we are going to add them together. So, super important rule when we're adding decimal numbers or money, you have to answer it in your head. What do you have to do? I know you know the answer. You have to line up your decimals, all right? That is one of the biggest things, one of the biggest mistakes that we make when we are trying to find the total when we're working with decimal numbers, is we don't line them up. But you want to make sure that each place value is lined up with the same place value, okay? So starting with that largest quantity, $21.95. And then I can break it apart and do smaller sections, or I can just stack them all. Does not matter. You can break it up and add it in parts, or you can just line them all up. But remember, in the ones place, we have a 4. Right after the 4 is a decimal. You want those decimals to be in the same spot. And then the 9 goes under the 9 in the tenths place, and then the 5 goes under the 5 in the hundredths place. Same thing with $5.95. Your decimals need to be lined up, your ones place is lined up, tenths place, hundredths place. And then $3.50, same thing. And then we're going to add all of those quantities together. So one way that I like to do this is to skip count or to multiply. So 5, I have 3 times. So instead of doing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I can multiply it by 3. 5 3 times is 15. So we put our 1 up top and our 5 down below. I can do that again here if I want to. I can do my 9 times 3, which is 27, 28, and then add my 5, so 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. So 9, 18, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Checking myself. So then 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 4 is 8. So 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13. Bring down my decimal. And then I have my 2 plus my 1 is 3. And you can even tell with my old brain that sometimes even when you stack it like this, you have a lot of numbers that you're working with, which is why it's super important that you want to check your answer. So in order to check our work, we want to go the opposite. We want to start with that largest quantity and we want to do the opposite operation. My paper fell, it scared me. We want to do the opposite operation, which is subtraction. So we're going to start here and we can work our way up. And then I can just subtract as I'm going. 5 minus 0 is 5. I can't do 3 minus 5. So I'm going to borrow from the 6, make it a 5. The 3 becomes 13. 13 minus 5 is 8. 5 minus 3 is 2. Remember, our decimals are lined up, so we want to bring that decimal down. And then we bring our 3 down. So we've done this part. We want to now do subtract $5.95. 5 minus 5 is 0. Can't do 8 minus 1. This becomes a 1. This becomes 18. 18 minus 9 is 9. 1 can't do 1 minus 5. This becomes 2. This becomes 11. 11 minus 5 is 6. Remember to bring that decimal down and then bring our 2 down. So last thing that we want to do is we want to subtract the $4.95 and it should give us this answer right here. So $4.95. This becomes an 8, a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. Can't do 8 minus 9. This becomes a 5. This becomes 18. 18 minus 9 is 9. Bring down your decimal because remember our decimals are lined up. 5 minus 4 is 1. 2 minus nothing is 2. So if you notice, we are correct. So at this point, we want to ask ourselves, what is my answer? So what was the total cost that we spent? Okay, so remember on your CGI paper that looks like this, remember down at the bottom, our answer with our unit. So remember our answer with our unit is going to be whatever our unit is. And in this case, we're talking about money. So we just listed out as our answer is $36.35. And then below that was our equation that matches our work, so our number sentence that matches our work, which could be any combination of adding these numbers together in order to get that quantity. So you could just list them straight out as $21.95 plus $4.95 plus $5.95 plus $3.50, and then that's going to equal your answer of $36.35. So nice job. Make sure that if your work on your paper does not match mine, that you want to go ahead and go back through that and make sure that you're fixing whatever it is that you maybe had a little bit of a trip up with. And then always, always, always remember, especially when we're working with problems like this, that you always line up your decimal. So when we're adding or subtracting fractions, or I'm sorry, decimals, decimal numbers, you always want to line up your decimal. Nice job, ladies.